Hey, welcome to the Muppet Show. That could well be. So, yes, thank you. This is my new avatar. I hope you like it. I am a bit croaky tonight. I've got a chest infection at the minute, and I've just been put on antibiotics. So I'm going to be staying off camera because I look absolutely horrendous, and I'll be frequently coughing and spluttering. But this sexy man with a gorgeous T-shirt,
look at that,
has volunteered to be the eye candy for the stream.
the Banshee T-shirt, man.
Hugging his six-pack, blue-collar loser.
Let's go with that.
Is sporting his Banshee T-shirt. What? Who's on the back of it, or is it just the front?
It's just the front, yeah. So of course you got Hood, you got it's Mirror, Kai, you got friggin' Job on there. Everybody, God, yep, Becca, yep, Bunny or Rabbit. So it's
all the
T-shirt, yeah,
all the favorite fun ones. Well, this is a show that I've been wanting to talk about for a really long time. I remember that when I watched it with my ex-partner, we binged all 4 seasons in it was a really short space of time. It was about 2 weeks.
Wow.
We were watching something like 4 episodes a day.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember exactly when we saw it. I want to say it was 2018 or 2019, somewhere around that kind of time. But we'll get into all that in a minute. Next, but by no means least, the Cock of the North. Here he is.
How are you guys doing then?
He's a cock.
Not too bad, apart from the terrible man flu. But other than that,
I think it's going around. I think I'm coming down with something a little bit myself, but I'll man through it. I'll man through it.
A couple of people in the chat. I'm sorry that I advertised the time of this starting originally at 10 p.m. GMT. I had actually scheduled it for 9. It is tomorrow. It is the Nielsen ratings tomorrow, which is at 9 o'clock.
Oh, shit.
Most of my streams start at either 9 or 10 if they're during the week. This is to kind of capture the people that are just about to go to bed in the UK and capture those that are just coming from work in America.
Yeah.
So that we and also makes it a bit easier for my American guests like Blue Collar Loser to turn up, and Insomniacs like my friend Northern English Bastard. So it's all good. Got a couple of regulars in the chat. Keithy, thanks for pointing out that the time was wrong, mate. I do appreciate that. I suddenly saw that. Lord Toxic, I think he's coming on a bit later, maybe, depending on how long we go. And then we've got Desert Phoenix, James Woolard, who's one of the newer subscribers to the channel. I've seen you on before. Great to have you back, James. Thanks for popping in. Never seen Banshee. Well, mate, we're going to talk about it in depth, and you can decide if it appeals. It may not. It's not for everyone, but I think it's first-class television, and I'll get into why in just a minute. The moving Wookiee is in the house. Cannoli Sasquatch is here. Good to see you, mate. Tell Sassy if she doesn't pop in and say hello, I'll be very upset. Now I'm gonna be on with Cannoli in a bit, talking all things Gladiator. So after this stream, I'm gonna go on that one. By which time I'll be even more ill and particularly croaky. But I am coming. I might not stay for the whole thing, but I'm gonna come along, and I've got a couple of nice trivia things for you. Maybe we should do those at the beginning, at least the bits I've got for him. So great channel as well. Fantastic stuff. All right, well, let's dive in then. We're going to mainly focus on season 1. So the specific questions I'm going to ask in relation to characters and things like that, we're going to keep to season 1 for tonight. If you're in the chat and you do follow the show, when we put a specific question up, I would love you to take part. We would love you to take part, in fact. So, do pop on. The premise of the show is fairly simple. An ex-con has just got out of prison. He's trying to track down the love of his life and has found out that she lives in the small town of Banshee, which I think is established that it's in... Is it in Pennsylvania?
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah. Just outside on the edge of town, he stops off at a bar. bit of a spoiler alert coming up here for the first episode, so close your ears now. In that bar is a man who's just about to take a job in Banshee, who is going to take the role of the new sheriff. The two heavies come in to extort money from the owner. A scuffle takes place. Many people are killed, and Lucas Hood decides he's going to make a good sheriff for Banshee, or he's going to assume the identity of Lucas Hood. So you have a criminal coming in as the new sheriff in town. Now, that premise on its own is strong, but would be quite boring. I don't think it would have a lot of mileage if it wasn't for all the other fantastic, interesting and wonderful characters that revolve around this community. It's an Amish community. There are even ex-Amish gangsters in the show, but we'll talk about them later. There's a fantastic trans character in the show. I have to say, this was one of the first trans characters I'd seen in a show who just happens to be trans, and that's it. It's not really a thing. And they're a really cool character. Good example of good writing. David Macy, thanks for popping in, man. And then the show has also got a couple of other things, in my opinion, going for it. It's extremely violent, so it's not for the faint-hearted. And there's rather a lot of nudity and sexual content. Yeah, which is why Northern English Bastard was particularly keen to get on this stream.
You say it like it's a bad thing.
I not at all, but it is a question that we're going to ask. Now this show it was developed specifically for Max, which is a subsidiary of HBO, and they wanted specifically to do a cop show, and the creators came up with this one, and it's not a traditional cop show at all. The other lead actor in the show, Anthony Starr, plays the lead, who people might have seen more recently in Boys, based on the graphic novel series. Ulrich Thompson, who's a Scandinavian actor that you might have seen in various Nordic noir films and shows and things, kind of plays the local gangster Kai Proctor. Probably one of the best bad guys in a TV show ever, I'm going to say.
Very underrated.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then he has a niece who he has a very unusual relationship and fascination with.
Let's say that.
Played by Ivana Milovic, who, is quite a striking lady. And he's surrounded by various interesting characters, including Matthew Raunch here. This guy's character name, I forget.
We always forget it.
He's got a weird name, like Spectre or something like that. But he's Kai Proctor's bodyguard, essentially, and a very interesting bodyguard. So one of the things I really like about this show is all of the characters are interesting, and this is one of the show's creators, I believe. Anyway, we'll come back to that in a sec. So, guys, this is my first question for my guests. Northern, is this your first time on camera?
Dear God.
It's been a few times, but half the time I prefer to keep it off. But
yeah, please turn it off.
Well, no, I think it's good. I think you're competing for who's got the best haircut. So
I mean, yeah.
No, he's got hair. He's got hair.
Here's the first question, and I want to ask: who is your favorite supporting character in the show, and why? Now, don't forget that we're focusing on season 1, which has 10 episodes. There are 4 seasons in the show altogether for people that haven't seen it. But even season 1 has quite the selection of interesting characters. Now, my next question is going to be, who's your favorite guest actor or character? And that's somebody who turns up for 1-2 episodes tops, but might be quite memorable. So, but forget that for the minute. I want to know who your favorite supporting character is and why. So, Blue Collar Loser, as Americans, always get to go first, so I'm told. You can be first, so you've got the coolest T-shirt on.
Thanks. Do you consider Job to be a supporting character or main character?
Job.
Yeah.
No, the leading characters in this show, I would say, you've really got. I would say that this is really a show of 3 leads.
Okay.
And that's the ex-girlfriend, the sheriff,
Yep.
and the gangster.
Okay, that's fair.
And I would say they're the 3 leads. I think that's a fair summation. Anyone else, I would say, who's in 4 or 5 episodes or more is a supporting lead.
Yeah.
So we're looking for our favorite supporting leads. So Blue Collar Loser, who's your
definitely does it does come down to Job. And the funny part, when Lord Toxic ever gets here, we mentioned this yesterday, you mentioned the term trans. Like, it's weird that the term transgender didn't seem like it was used a lot when this came out in 2013. My mother grew up, like anything with friggin' Rocky Horror and stuff, and people in the 90s, that Tu Wong Fu movie, the term drag queen is a term that I feel like people used a lot. Job, I never took, is considered to be a trans character because he's still a guy and he dresses like a girl, but he just like he never calls himself that. He just exists. But I always thought Job was a drag queen, but he's so well written. It is, because he's like, he brings there's a comedy to the show that only Job has. Nobody does comedy in the show like Job. And it's funny, and he's also extremely intelligent. That's what's scary, is, the guy can sit there. He can make you a fake ID. He's a computer hacker. He's one of the guys where with a laptop, he can hack into the Pentagon or something.
He does have an extremely, at times, convenient, amazing skill set with computers. But that, it's a plot device that serves his character really well. You're right. He gets all the best lines. I mean, I love the bit where he says, I'm just gonna go and get you the stuff, and he just takes a side exit door, pulls out a button, and blows up the entire building. I mean, that's in the pilot,
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it's like, and he's one of the guys where it's like he doesn't fight too often, but if he has to, he can fight or pick up a knife or a gun, but he chooses to be more of a hacker. But he's he can be dangerous when he wants to be.
So your choices for Job. Anyone who's seen the show in the chat, don't forget that you can take part in this and you can put your own choices. So this is for supporting characters. Someone who's been in 5 episodes or more of season 1, I would say, and not including the 3 leads in the show. So Job is played by Hoon Lee. You can tell that Hoon Lee is an experienced stage actor. He's been on Broadway a number of times. He took over the lead of The King and the King and I at one stage. Did a number of performances for that. He's also been in Cinemax's. I think he played the role of Dr. Park in Cinemax's Outcast, and he was in Bosch. So I mean, the guy's got incredible charisma and presence. I remember that my ex-partner absolutely loved his character. She could not get enough of him, and he always had the lines that cracked us up, always. I really like him. He's recently been in the TV show Warrior, which is another very underrated TV show.
Wow.
If you guys have, I don't know if you guys have seen Warrior.
Yeah, when I was watching the recaps to the first series to try and refresh my memory a bit, Warrior suddenly came up next on that after it all finished. So I might put that down on my list as something to watch later.
And I think that would be a good stream for us to do. He was in another show called DMZ, Near Future Civil War Torn America. That's now, isn't it? No, just kidding.
Pretty close.
Medic sets out on a quest to find her missing son. I feel like I might have seen the first couple of episodes. Of course I have, because Rosario Dawson's in it. That's a mandatory watch for me. Which meant I had to sit through that Star Wars thing. But anyway. Hoon Lee, definitely a good choice. I would guess probably quite a popular supporting character with a lot of people who are big fans of the show. Northern Bastard, who's your choice?
Well, you've already mentioned Job, and if I said Job now, I'd be repeating what you say because, yeah, he's a really great character. He's got some good lines, and he's written like an actual character instead of just something to tick boxes with. So,
Yeah.
others, I think
Just
maybe
pick, just
Sugar.
pick, just
Maybe
pick one
Sugar.
other for now.
Might be Sugar. Might be Sugar because it kind of works well when he's with Job. They have this very good back and forth little kind of love-hate relationship, but there's still this respect as well.
So Sugar is played by Frankie Faison, who's a very well-known character actor that people definitely will have seen in a number of shows. He's been around for a long time. I'll just grab a still of him. Yeah, he's the ex-boxer who owns the bar that it all kind of kicks off on. In fact, really, Lucas Hood kind of saves his life, effectively, I would say.
Yeah.
What do you like about him?
Well, he's kind of got that. Well, there is this sort of wisdom. You can tell he's sort of been there and done that. He's been through a lot, but he's still got some fight left in him, even though his boxing days are over. And his twilight years are right upon him now.
Yeah, he was the. I don't know if you guys have seen the film Eddie Murphy's Coming to America.
Yes. I
watched them both.
He had a bit part in that as the landlord of that scummy apartment that they get in, like, you know, I think they're in the Bronx, aren't they, or something?
Yeah.
And he's like the guy that rents out the room to them, and that was probably the first thing I saw him in. I mean, he's in all 38 episodes of Banshee, so he's right there all the way through. But you may have seen him in. He's been in he's done loads of bit parts on television. He was in The Wire. He played the police commissioner, if you guys remember, and he was deputy commissioner at one point. Then he became the commissioner. So I mean, the other big long running big show that he's done is The Wire, but he did Prey back in 1998, which is not a bad show. He was in The Langoliers. We won't talk about that.
Oh, remember that movie?
True Colors. It's a TV show in the 90s, 35 episodes. Now, he was also in Mississippi Burning. Now, that's a really good movie with Gene Hackman and William Dafoe from 1988 about the murder of the 3 civil rights workers in Alabama.
Okay.
It's a really good, powerful film. And I remember him in that, actually. Again, just a bit part, but it's funny how you remember people. Also appeared in Oz, which is a great show, of course. If people haven't seen that, that's another one I've got to do a stream about. So, yeah, he plays Sugar, ex-boxer, kind of in the last throes of his life, but thinks maybe this guy can... Maybe he's the one person who's kind of in on it at the beginning, isn't he? He knows that the guy's not really a cop, and he tries to get him to go away, but he doesn't, does he?
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
No, see, it's one of the things where it's like with Lucas Hood, he's like he can because Sugar's an ex-con, because he can smell one of his own, you know. He's got that sense about him.
Yeah. I think he has a line to that effect, because there's a little exchange that they have in the bar before the bad guys come in.
Yep.
And he says, "Where were you?" As in, which, you know, where did you do time? And they have that kind of sort of ex-con kind of language between each other, which I think is it's almost like it's played like it's second nature to them.
Yeah.
Lord Toxic saying he's a totally underrated actor. I have to agree, and it's nice that he gets. I mean, this is probably the role of his career. I don't think he'll ever top this. Okay. So, I will. I guess I've got to pick one. Now, you see, I would have picked Job. Definitely would have been my first choice, because I think of all the supporting characters, he, them, they, however the character would be referred to, is probably the most interesting because they're very different. They're very much a fish out of water in the town.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And they're very no nonsense, which I like about them. So yeah, so that's all. That's all good with him. But let me pick somebody else. Of the other supporting characters in season 1 only, I think I'd probably pick. I'd probably pick Proctor's bodyguard.
Oh God.
Yeah, he's so fucking
It's
good.
Burton.
He is. I mean, he's got almost no lines. And when you first see him, he looks like an accountant, which is very deliberate on the kind of the show misrepresents him very, very deliberately.
Yeah.
He's creepy as hell.
Yes, he is.
I'm just trying to remind me of his character name.
It's called Burton. Clay Burton.
Clay Burton, that's it. Played by Matthew Roach. I'm just wondering.
It's this constant joke, Lance, me and Lord Toxic had. We call him the Salamander because I swear to you, watching this whole first season, show me a scene where he blinks. The guy does not blink. It's freaky, man.
That's interesting.
He's very intense, fucking. Yeah, he really plays it. He's been in a few as well.
I guarantee it. Whenever anybody watches this, show me a scene that he's in where the guy blinks. The entire time he looks at you, and he's got a creepy smile, but you never see him.
I think Banshee screened between 2012 and 2016. The 4 shows, is that right? 4 seasons.
Yeah.
This was the last role of Russell Means, I think, on the left.
Oh yeah, the chief.
Yeah, because he was. I think he knew he was dying when he made this.
Damn.
Because he had cancer, and fantastic actor. Who I believe he's one of the cast from Dances with Wolves, like one of the 3 original Indians. I think so. Matthew Roach's scene at the back there. I like the way that he's got these glasses. He has a bow tie with a pink shirt on. Looks like an accountant, but he does this great thing where when he takes his glasses off, shit's going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's when he does that, that's quite scary. And he's not imposing physically. There are bigger people in the show than him. He is quite tall, the guy, but he's not. The way they've set him up is he's not imposing physically. Stupendo popping in to say hi. Oh, nice. And the girlfriend.
Poor Meg.
See you tomorrow.
Yeah,
I'll see you tomorrow.
Toxic's not here, so I'll do the airs and a phobia.
Yeah. Stupendo's doing the Nielsen ratings with me tomorrow, where we're going to be talking all things Napoleon and a couple of other TV shows and stuff we've watched this week. And boy, do I have a lot to say about Napoleon.
Same.
I saw your video. Yeah, I mean, it's not the worst thing that you could go and watch if, everything else on is Barbie.
Black Girl Magic. Fucking
well, I actually enjoyed Barbie more than Napoleon, I have to say.
Oh, jeez.
But anyway, that's a stream for another time. So he would that's a skill of a really good actor, using what's on the script. Whereas a weaker actor would probably demand more lines, and his character is strong because he's very much a good example of less is more. He's only got a few lines, but he defines his character with physical actions. I really love absolutely everything he does. There's a powerhouse of 4 fantastic actors right there.
Can I say something as well about him? Because I noticed that he never expresses facially much as well, which is what most actors do when they don't say much. But even when he barely expresses, you can still sort of try and get an idea what he's thinking, which is
Yeah.
very rare thing for an actor to do very well.
Yeah, and he's only got in the show, he's only got like 4 different facial expressions, probably.
Yep.
You know, one where you know shit's gonna go down, one where he's observing and being thoughtful. I think I'm trying to remember if he ever smiles in the show, and I don't
He
believe
does.
so.
He does smile
he?
once in season 1 because when he smiles, you're like, it's that much more creepier. There's a scene with him and Kai and the chief on the right involving a hot tub. But when
Oh God, yeah.
and when he smiles, it's that much more terrifying when he smiles.
I know you kind of got to laugh a little bit how fucking intense it can be sometimes.
It's like you don't laugh because it's like that laughter of fear. Like I'm laughing because
it's like nervous laughter. Nervous laughter.
Toxic has said exactly the same thing I said earlier. Anytime Burton takes off his spectacles, shit's about to go down.
It's morphin' time.
Don't make me take my glasses off, bitch.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting. Let's before we move on to the next topic, let's cover a couple of the other supporting cast who have key roles in season 1, because if I'm being really critical, and I am quite critical about the stuff I really like, I can't call out any weak actors in the main speaking cast. I'd be hard pushed to say, yeah, that person's not very good, somebody else should have done that role. The casting in this is really, it's first class. I mean, they really cast well. Everybody's quite distinct. Everybody gets to make their mark. And that for a show is, it's not rare because there are a number of shows that are cast well, but this is a show where all the different things fell into place for me. Casting, writing, the way the show looked, the choreography of the action scenes. But let's talk about a couple of the others. I think this guy, who I don't think was on my radar until I watched Banshee, I think this guy is particularly good in his role. Matt Savito, who plays
Brock.
plays the guy who thought he was going to get Hood's job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really rate him as an actor. This character could have been. He starts off a bit stereotypical, a bit cliched, and then he goes a completely different direction. So he has a really amazing arc where he's trying to be the cop who is the one who obeys the law and does things by the book, and it's just not going to happen. Or rather, Hood's not going to let it happen. You guys got anything you want to say about him, Blue Collar Loser, first?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the thing with Brock is he had a chip in his shoulder because he wanted Hood's position. And like you're saying, the thing with Hood is because Hood isn't an actual sheriff, he doesn't approach things like a sheriff. And Brock is constantly like challenging his authority. He's constantly coming at him, and he wants to why are you doing the things the way you're doing for? And this isn't by the book. It's not by how they're supposed to be done. But I always like the dynamic because we start to learn that Banshee, they've had multiple sheriffs. So I mean, wouldn't you want a new guy to mix things up a little bit? Because if Hood does everything like the other sheriffs, then why not something different? So I do like Brock.
Yeah. Northern English, anything to add about Matt Savito?
Well, it's definitely a great example of if you play by the rules, sometimes the enemy will use those rules against you. And it does take a very heavy toll on him mentally later on, which I won't give away but it does add to his development as a character. Because he's basically a saint in a fucking demonic world.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a good summary of his storyline.
One thing,
go on.
I always wonder if this actor was a cop before he became an actor, because he looks like he could have been in real life. He's got that kind of presence about him.
Yeah, he does. I mean, Leroy's pointed out he's been in lots of shows, The Sopranos,
Billions,
and Banshee. But at the time that I watched Banshee, Billions was only just coming out. So I actually remember starting to watch Billions around the same time I watched Banshee, which was a bit later. And also, I didn't see The Sopranos all the way through properly until much, much later. I watched that properly all the way through for the first time in about 2014. So I'd seen episodes of it, but I'd always missed stuff. You know, it was on at a certain time and I didn't record it. And
Yeah.
Back in the days when you had a VHS, you know. Yeah, he had a significant part in that. He's done episodes of Barry, 14 episodes of Billions, playing Governor Bob Sweeney. That's actually a really good role for him. And he's got a total of 106 credits. He's also a director. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's got a background in theatre as well, because he seems to have that presence of a stage actor. But yeah, I haven't got his Wikipedia up to hand, but from Detroit originally. Now, stand by for your Tabrizi clown horn, as we say in the Outcast Creative, because I'm going to mention a different supporting cast member now, who, it has to be said, is very effective in the show and also quite a different character for a show like this.
Oh God.
That's our.
Yeah.
She plays the niece of the main
Becca,
sort of gangster villain. She's a complicated character, but she's also a bit of a. Is it fair to say she's a bit of a spiderweb, Rebecca's character? Because you get drawn into her, and it's going to be messy. And Hood and Proctor have a massive fight over, because he just says, "Have you slept with my niece? What's that got to do with anything?" And that answer is yes in his head. So they have a massive punch up, and it is a massive, brutal, like the punch. The guys that did the choreography of the fights were asked to look at John Carpenter's They Live, and that street brawl.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can see the influence of that movie in this show for sure.
That's where it's funny that Lord Toxic said that as we're recording it, like this feels like a damn They Live fight. It's like a 15-minute fight sequence.
Yeah, it's a she has this very strange relationship with her uncle.
Yeah.
Which is not fully realized in season 1, but boy is it present.
Think of the Lannisters. What the hell?
Yeah, it's got a whole Lannister thing going on. Leroy Peter says, "I hate the villains on this show big time." When you say you hated them, do you mean you hated them in the context of their characters, or you didn't like them? I think you mean that you hated them as in you hated the villains, which is what you're supposed to do on a show. You're supposed to hate the villains. I found that the villains were, as I got to know Proctor, like as he kind of, the layers of his onion got peeled.
Yes.
he really grew on me. I was like, I kind of like this guy. He's got a certain logic about things that makes sense.
Yeah,
so it was hard to, it was hard to completely hate him. But yeah, context of their characters. Yeah, thanks for clarifying. That's what I thought you meant. So what do you guys think about the young lady?
Boy, it's hard to like just she has no problem taking her clothes off during the show.
I think most of the women in the show I mean, it's a show. We're gonna let's not get into the nudity now, because that's a question coming up.
Yeah, she's said interesting character. She's Amish, and she's another cliche where she's coming into her own, and she's rebelling against the her like religious parents and community. It kind of this whole show is very weird with the Amish. It paints them into like this cult like status in a sense, because these Amish people treat their kids horrible. Boy.
Yeah, there's a lot of like excommunication of children who have committed a sin from the community and that sort of thing. A lot of moralizing. I mean, I haven't hung around with a lot of, my only experience of the Amish prior to this was the film Witness with Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
So I'm not an authority on if they behave like that or they don't, or if it's a common thing that people are excommunicated or what. I mean, do you guys have any first, second knowledge or even vague rumors?
Nah.
I'm looking up Internet Movie Database now to look at the inaccuracies because I have not a clue. I have not a clue, but no, I won't bother doing that because it'll take too long and we've got to move along, don't we? So, but yeah, we could have people in the chat contribute who might have no more knowledge about it.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Leroy saying, have you guys ever heard of a show called Amish Mafia? I have not heard of that
There's
show.
way too many shows. It's like
Yeah,
that don't get much marketing or do, but we kind of pass along them. It's
the actress, I have to say, I think, I mean, okay, yeah, she's playing a certain type of role. I have to say, I think she's very good.
Yes.
Yeah, she is.
I think a lot of young men probably thought about joining the Amish community on the basis of her role in this film. They may have.
It's the forbidden throat.
Yeah. They may have been deceived. I'm not sure it'll be all the fun that it's made out to be. I don't imagine you get to build a barn every weekend.
Yeah.
The actress Lily Simmons, been around for quite a while, born in 1993, but she's already racked up 25, I would say, good credits in shows like Gotham, The Purge, Westworld, where she did 3 episodes.
Wow. Yeah.
Power Book, is it 4 or 5? Or she's in that season of Power that I haven't seen. She's done 20 episodes of that in 2022-23.
Nice.
6 episodes of Hawaii Five-0. A short called Robin Hood, I Love New York. No relation to the latest Robin Hood show.
Robin.
Yeah.
That one.
She was in Bone Tomahawk, which is one of my favorite movies. And I didn't connect that she'd done both that and this. I need to go back and watch that. That's a film that it's quite hard to watch frequently.
Yeah.
That famous meat stripping sequence.
Oh,
yeah. We need to do a stream about that. 2 episodes of True Detective. Yeah. So yeah, she's got a really good. I would say she's got a really solid CV, and
definitely.
I'm not surprised because she really can act. She's not a one-trick pony. She really can act. Apart from the 3 leads, are there any other of the supporting cast that you guys would like to give a shout out to for season 1? People that have been in more than 4 episodes. I'm not talking about a guest for 1 episode.
I think definitely the entire Banshee police force, they're all diverse in their own ways. I mean, if you got a woman, white guy, black cop, and they're all different characters and they handle the situations differently. And the entire Banshee police force is trying to adjust to the insane tactics of Sheriff Hood. But none of the supporting actors, the term is often used, we're phoning it in or being cheesy. Every actor just brings it. No one feels like they're just phoning it in, like they're really trying.
Yeah, you've got the other 2 cops in the Banshee Police Department, which consists of 3 people and a receptionist.
Yeah.
You have Tris Kelly Dunn, who plays, I forget the name of the officer.
Siobhan.
Yeah,
I would say her role
as well.
Her role's probably the most underwritten. Is that fair? Of the cops in season 1, at least.
Yeah, she doesn't get a lot of airtime in season 1.
I mean, she's in it a lot, but there's not a lot of dialogue. We don't really find out much about her upbringing or anything. I think we get more later.
Yeah.
And maybe it's the same with the black officer. The 2 of them. I mean, they're supporting characters, so that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Leroy's mentioning about Russell Means. Yeah, we talked about Russell Means, Leroy, before you came on the stream, actually, and I said it. I believed it was his last performance. Fantastic actor. What about the actor who plays the son of Russell Means, the Indian gangster, as it would be in the town?
Yeah, I mean, or season 1, he doesn't get a lot. Later seasons he will, but he's not really in season 1 in it a lot. So I mean, he's good from when he's there, I think.
Yeah. I think I've seen him on Hawaii Five-0, but I might be wrong.
Hmm.
The reboot I'm talking about, not the original, of course. What about Hunter Garner, who plays Hood's daughter?
Yeah, and people would say they did a very good casting job, because it's like they're not verbatim, but I could buy that she could be Anthony Starr's daughter. I don't know. It's like something. I think she looks like him.
She's got his little rebellious streak in it, like willing to break a few of the laws.
Yeah, and she has no problem getting into trouble, just like her old man. She's got a big attitude problem, and boy, the apple does not far fall from the tree.
She's very stubborn like him as well.
Oh.
Thanks, Super Bass, for popping in and dropping a like. Do really appreciate that. Do come back and check out the stream at a later date. Thank you for dropping in. Yeah, I mean, they couldn't have cast like the daughter and the son. Clearly, the casting brief was right. We need them to look as physically different as possible.
Yeah, definitely.
We probably haven't mentioned the straight man of the show, and that's the actor who plays the unfortunate husband of the love interest,
Gordon. Yep.
Yeah, Gordon, played by Russ Blackwell. Actors that play these kind of roles, it's always a raw deal, because they tend to get it's the straight, we call it in the industry the straight man part. The supporting guy who's sort of not that memorable because he's playing the straight man. But I think he gives an absolutely amazing performance. And on that note, Lord of Toxicity is demanding to be let in.
That's on him.
Dude, I was just waiting for an appropriate segue. Don't worry.
I'm here to bring your monetization down.
Hashtag. Let's see. Hashtag Team Gordon. Right.
Team Gordon. I'm all Team Gordon. Hey, I've been listening to you guys on my way home from work. Sorry, I'm late. It is what it is.
No, that's okay. I mean, a lot of my streams with American guests normally start at 10 p.m. So I scheduled this one at 9 for Mr. Brown Alliance, because I know he doesn't like to go to bed as late as I do, but he couldn't make it today, sadly. So
yeah. Sorry, you're still feeling poorly. Have you tried having a hot cuppa with a bit of lemon?
I'm on the hot honey and lemon and ginger, so it's all happening.
Wow.
Tox, let me ask you quickly, because you missed.
Yep.
Well, actually, we're still on really the first question, which is, who's your favorite supporting character in the show? It's okay if you mention someone who has already been discussed. Do you have a favorite?
Yeah, just to clarify, are we talking about the entire series proper, or are we talking about just season 1?
No, just season 1. Just season 1. And not including the 3 leads, and I consider the 3 leads to be Anthony Starr's character, Kai Proctor, Ulrich Thompson, and the wife, the ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, Anastasia.
They're the triangle, really.
Sure. No, I agree completely. Yeah, no, I'd go with Rebecca 100%. She's my favorite side character. I can't take my eyes off the screen anytime she's in it.
Yeah, I know.
You mean Lily Simmons?
Lily Simmons, yeah. Like I said, I've been listening. Oh, Jesus. Oh, my God. Lily.
Yeah, she is.
Fox, do you need to go off the stream for 5 minutes? And,
nah. I'm all right. I'll just sit with it. But I did go from 6 to midnight, just right there. Lily, if you're watching, or if one of your people sends you, listen, I will cook, I'll clean, I'll do anything that you want me to do. I don't care. I will slide my belly over broken glass just to get close enough for you to pee on my head.
What the hell?
Okay,
whatever you want.
Dude, woohoo! Let's turn that down a bit.
I'll write you poetry and send you pictures of kittens.
There you go.
Plus, wear a little Bo Peep costume. Okay, that was Lord of Toxicity, everyone. It was great to have him in for 5 minutes. We'll have him back on the show another time. I'm only kidding, dude. Right. Okay. If we could keep the graphic We could
Yeah.
keep the graphic language to
Sure.
It's not a kid's show, but dude, come on.
All right. But yeah, no, she's my favorite character, and not just because she's gorgeous eye candy. I just think she's super complicated. There's a bit of an Amish population out here in Kansas and Missouri in my way. I'm always intrigued when I see them out and about in the stores and things like that. And I always
do they have a number of restraining orders upon you? Is that already established?
I mean, they're not allowed to go to the police, so that sorts itself out, doesn't it?
Sure.
But yeah, no, I think it's an intriguing character, and I liked her in True Detective, which I actually saw before I saw this, and I'm not sure which one came out first, but I like the whole juxtaposition of it's almost like Hood and Proctor have too much other stuff going on that they can't give her the attention that she only wants really attention from these two men, and they have so much going on with being the antagonists and protagonists and they're different things that they can't fully give her the attention that she actually wants, and they're the only two men she really wants attention from. So yeah, no, it's great. She's definitely my favorite side character for that and many other reasons.
No, she is a very complicated character. I agree that, and she could have been played or written in a far, inferior way, and that's what's great. All of the characters have arcs in this. Even Russ Blackwell playing the husband, even he has an arc.
Is that Gordon? Is that who Gordon?
Yeah,
is?
Gordon, and he's in the shot here getting a smooch.
Yeah. Blue Collar will tell you I'm a big Gordon supporter.
Yeah, definitely good character.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. Yeah.
He's a good dude. He's a solid dude. I had a theory, especially as it pertains to season 1, when Carrie / Anastasia gets her back against the wall a little bit. She could have just gone to Gordon and said, "Listen, I love you. I love our life. Here's the deal. I'm not everything that I portrayed myself to be. You don't have to wrap yourself around a lamp pole trying to figure this stuff out. This is who I am." And I think he'd have been okay. I mean, yeah, it wouldn't have been great, but I think Gordon would have been all right. He's an ex-Marine. He's a good provider. He's obviously a good dad. He's just a solid dude. And I'm definitely not going to give anything away for what happens in later seasons, but he really he shows himself to be a great guy.
Yeah.
I want to, Leroy, I know you want to come on, dude, but give me a sec. I might bring you in a bit. Another actor that I should talk about in the supporting cast, who becomes more prominent as the season 1 at least goes on, and that's Ben Cross, who plays a kind of the other villain of the show, as it were. Rabbit. Here's a trivia question for you guys. Fingers on buzzers. Getting ready for that Christmas movie quiz I've got coming up in a few weeks' time. Can you name the 1970s film, an epic blockbuster with many a historical epic blockbuster from the 1970s in which Ben Cross had a walk-on part but was on the shoot for many weeks? And no going on to IMDb, that would just be cheating.
Got me. Sure.
1970s.
Yeah. Anyone? Historical epic, 1970s? Anyone? Chat?
And it's
anyone?
Christmas. And it's Christmas as well.
No. I'm going to be. I've got a quiz coming up at Christmas. So there's no connection to the Christmas with this particular.
Got nothing.
Okay. Well, he was in A Bridge Too Far. He played one of the paratroopers under the command of John Frost, played by Anthony Hopkins, at the bridge. And if you watch the scene where the paras are all marching to the bridge and all the people come out their houses, you will see him in that shot. But he's in all the scenes at the bridge. But he basically was a bit part extra in that film. Of course, he went on to be in things like Chariots of Fire and other stuff like that, in which he's pretty incredible. Got a shot of him in that here, so we can have a quick look. Which was one of the first British films that won an Oscar. I think it was for best screenplay. I think we got
pretty young there. Wow.
And Colin Welland got that Oscar, and he went, "The British are coming" to the Academy, and it took us about 20 years to win another award or something.
Wow.
But,
he's kind of got that face. I think I asked Blue Collar this when we were still doing season 1 on our rewatch. I think I said, you know, what is he from? And then I think Blue Collar pulled up his CV and went through a few of his movies, but I'd not been familiar with it. But he's just got one of those familiar faces, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's Ian Charleston in the middle there, and unfortunately, Ian Charleston died very young from an HIV-related illness, and he was playing Hamlet when he died. And the last time he was able to perform that on stage at the National, the understudy had to take over, and I think the understudy even had to take over halfway through a performance. And like everybody knew he was ill, everybody was crying in the company. It was proper, heavy.
Well, unfortunately, Ben Cross has passed away as well.
Has he gone as well now? Is that right?
Yeah, he passed away.
Oh, I think I must have read that. You're right. It was in 2020. He did. Yeah, I forgot that.
Yeah,
that was that as a result of the pandemic, or was it just cancer?
I'm going to say it was cancer, as far as I know.
Yeah, it was in Austria. Well, that's a nice place to spend your last days, summer in Austria.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you look through his bio, Ben Cross, and I mean, it's pretty incredible. And he was also a very gifted musician as well. He actually wrote music, which a lot of people don't know that about him. So but I forgot he passed away, man. That's married 3 times, so doing that Hollywood notch of honor there. Okay, any of the other not guest cast, so supporting cast, 4 or 5 episodes or more of the people I'm talking. Is there anyone we've missed? Anyone wants to mention before we?
There is one, but I think he's in season 2, and I don't think we're going that area just yet.
No. We'll talk about the show in general a bit more and a bit later, but we'll focus on the sort of plot and cast of season 1 for this stream, because I'm going to do 1 per season, so you guys can all come back again.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Apart from Tox, I might have a restraining order on him by then, but
you're not the only one. You're not the only one.
You're good. You're all good, bud. Very important to have a sense of humor on this channel. Very, very important. I would say it's a requirement of being here. Okay. Well, did you want to check Bastard just in case?
What check for what?
The character that you think is in season 2, but you're not sure.
Oh, it's he's in season 2. It's just he's the guy. He's the white supremacist who's trying to become
Yeah.
And I've seen that actor before in Ozark, and I thought he was really fucking good. He played
he's always good.
Brother.
He's always good. He's amazing.
So I mean,
ignore Iron Fist. Ignore Iron Fist. He's fucking good in Ozark and Banshee. So,
who does he play in Ozark?
He plays the brother. He plays the brother that has schizophrenia. I want to say season 2, or is he bipolar or schizophrenic? Which one is
he's bipolar? Yeah.
Not the young brother that ends up sleeping with the old woman.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's not in season 1. This guy.
No, he's in season 2.
He's in season 2.
I know the guy you mean, and some
people. Not season 3. Season 3. I think he's in season 3, and then mostly on season 4.
Yeah. Okay. When I was younger, some people said I look a bit like that actor. I'll have to get my young acting headshot up sometime, and you guys can decide for yourself. Okay, so I didn't want Tox to miss out on this question, so this was actually the question I was going to ask first.
Okay.
To each of you. I want you to say one thing and one thing only, because I know there are loads of things, but I want you to pick one thing and one thing only that you think makes the show particularly good, a cut above the rest. I'll start, and I'll just say, first of all, the quality of the writing is fantastic. All the characters are given arcs, including some of the really minor characters. And you've also got a fantastic clash of culture. You've got Amish, you've got Indians, You've got the town, the kind of the towny people. You're more kind of working collar types. Blue Collar Loser knows what I'm talking about.
Yep.
And it's a great melting pot for drama. All those different characters and storylines. So I think the quality of the writing for me was, there are many other things, but being a script writer myself, that was the thing that, I watched the pilot, and I always you normally can always tell from a pilot if, okay, am I invested? Do I want to know more? And it was one of those shows, as soon as we'd watched the pilot, it was like we both looked at each other and said, should we watch another one? And then, next thing we knew, we were up till 5 a.m. and we were halfway through season 1.
That's how I did it as well.
Tox, late arrival. I'll let you go first. Name me one other thing about the show that you think is great.
I think it's I can attribute the entire series and season 1 in particular, the way that they have so much plot going on, but you never feel overloaded or lost. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. It's such a plot heavy type drama. Now I will concede that you can't miss, and I've said this to Blue in our rewatches. You definitely can't miss an episode. You miss an episode, you're lost.
Yeah, but, and it's not something you can put on in the background while you're doing another task either. You haven't seen it before.
But it's so plot driven with so many different characters and so many different motivations, all so well acted. And as you said, and I'll caveat on what you said, the dialogue is so spot on and so well done. That it gets you invested and you want to know what's going on with these characters, and you want to know what's happening in their lives. When you're not watching them, they're so dense and they're so realistic. And which is crazy because the concept of the show is insane. You got this convict and he's impersonating a sheriff, and it's a bunch of sex and violence and all this stuff, but at the same time, it's very character driven. So and I like that. I like shows with a lot of plot if they can keep the thread, and I don't think this show ever loses the thread.
I think that's a really good point that you've made, is that the show is actually quite complex with very complex characters with lots of nuance, and everyone's got different objectives, but you're never overloaded with information, and there's never tons of exposition either, and that's always a sign of a really good script.
Yeah, they follow the show don't tell rule, which I
yeah. And I mean, there are times when you have to do that. Opening monologue of Goodfellas is a good way to set up the movie, but this is a show that really does there's so much detail in every scene, and a lot of it is sometimes in the things that are not said, but the things that you see. So yeah, that's a good Tox. That's a good one. Blue Collar Loser. What would add to that? Something else about the show that you think is great, puts it a cut above the others.
I'm glad Tox didn't say, if we agree on this, that 100% that as much as people, you can't help but watch the show without thinking about Homelander, that Anthony Starr, his fucking facial expressions, like he can seriously, like you can read what's going on in his head without him talking. And he goes from like being hurt and betrayed from his history and his past to like within half a second to like he will kill you. And just like Anthony Starr, so often in the show, he starts crying and you can just see like the betrayal and anger and rage in his face. And you can tell like whoever like casted him for The Boys, they had to have watched this show.
Yeah, I would agree. That he is he's someone who can play. He's got those kind of psycho eyes without meaning to be mean to him. I mean, he can do that thing where he really knows his craft. He knows how to underplay a scene, and he does that a lot. And I think a less skilled actor would have gone much bigger with his character, whereas he pulls him right in, and that's good because there's a lot of other big characters in the show, like Job and the deputy cop. Proctor and so on. If his character was really big, it wouldn't have worked. If he'd been a sort of brash, kind of big, loud.
Yeah.
I mean, it could. His actions are like that, but as a person, he's played him very reserved, and that's what makes it work for me. So yeah, his performance is key. He is the lead. If his performance was shit, the show would have probably been in trouble. Because you need to root for him.
Yeah.
For sure. Northern Bastard. Add your 2 cents, please. The topic of nudity is still available.
Well, that's simple. Tits and ass are nice, yes, but for being serious, it has to be maybe that it's the development of the characters that make it work. Like, there's always some consequences as well that conflict their ideals later on, or make them change their ideals with the events that happen. Even Lucas Hood starts to realize that him being there might have caused more harm later on from the events in the first series also.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a really good arc, which is he's got a slow burn arc because it's got to last 4 seasons. I just watched the last episode of season 1 again. I've seen the whole show twice, and this is the 3rd time I'm watching it because we watched it again fairly soon after the first. Yeah, I've seen, that's not as many times as I've watched The Shield. I've watched The Shield about 10 times.
Oh, wow.
And I'm going to do another show about The Shield.
I need to watch that.
Mate, you do. I mean, talk about good writing, but let's not go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But as my friend Mr. Brown would say, otherwise I'll have to keep saying, shall we move on? But yeah, so one of the things I noticed that they did with the writing of this show, and I'm sure you spotted it if you watched the last episode of season 1, it was that season was very clever because it was written so that if it didn't get renewed with a couple of little changes to the ending, that would have been it, and it would have worked on its own. True. And you know how it would have ended? It would have ended with Hood getting killed. Because you see how they filmed his death scene? Did you notice that? And it looks like he might be dead.
Yeah.
He's really badly injured. I think if it had only gone to 1 season, he probably wouldn't have survived, and that would have been it. And it would have been or it would have been an ambiguous ending. You wouldn't have known if he'd survived or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very good. Leroy's saying I need to do Spartacus. I am doing Spartacus, and I've got John Hannah coming in to do Spartacus with me, who was in Spartacus.
Wow.
Yeah,
nice.
Just trying to work out a date with him, but yeah, that should be happening. It might happen this side of Christmas, but I've got a feeling we might go into the new year on that one.
So we were not able to get Lily Simmons to appear for this then?
No,
maybe later.
Get her on, man.
As soon as we confirmed you were coming on, she was like, "Oh no, I'm sorry."
I can see that.
Damn it, toxic! You ruin everything.
She's like, sadly, I must decline. There's a certain PFA on Mr. Kelly that I can't be on the stream with him.
All right, so I think everybody's answered that question, so I'm going to move on to my next one. Now, this is a bit similar to the first one. Who's your favorite guest actor character and why? I'm going to go first, and mine is easy. So this is someone who's in 1 or 2 episodes, but for whatever reason, they're really memorable. Got to be this guy for me.
Sure.
I know that Tox has got he's got a big full poster of him on his wall with lipstick in all the right places. So this actor is, I think it's Joseph Gatt. I don't know if anyone's seen him in other stuff.
No, I've not seen him in anything else.
God, he has fun playing that part. And God, you think if I was ever in prison, I really would not want this guy to be my cellmate, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We've been there.
Yeah,
we've been there. Been there.
You'd have an announce the size of the Lincoln Tunnel fairly quickly. But here's a funny thing. You look at his credits, right? And he's also been in Dumbo for Disney, you know?
Wow.
He was in 3 episodes of Game of Thrones. He played a frost giant in Thor. I think one of the main ones with some dialogue.
Yeah.
He was in Black Adam. Okay. Has done some Star Wars video games. So he's got that kind of look, hasn't he? Of, you know, all round hawkish looking bad guy. But I mean, this links into my next question as well, but he's got one of the most memorable scenes in the show.
Oh, come on.
and I just found him also absolutely just terrifying. I mean, he was just terrifying.
There's a coldness to him. There's a fucking coldness to him as well. It's like, it just makes you, just unsettles you.
But it's really funny, right? Because if you go to his IMDb page, and this must be deliberately on his part, and by the way, guys, he's a Brit. He was born and raised in London. He's a British actor. He went to the Sylvia Young Theatre School and then Mount View, and those two schools are as lovey as they come. You know, very sort of lot of posh kids, that kind of thing. He had alopecia when he was 14, so all of his hair fell out, and he certainly used that to his benefit. Good for him. But you go to his IMDb page, and he's very deliberately put this up as his main picture. Please hire me for nice guy roles. I can also smile. That's what that says.
I think it's scarier when he smiles.
Yeah, exactly.
He should play more smiling villains.
There you go, Tops. Like there's a second poster for you to put up there.
Yeah. I've already saved it. I've already saved it
as well. I hope if he's watching this, I hope he knows I'm joking. He seems like he could be a nice guy.
No. I mean, I have to say, I think he's a fantastic actor.
Yeah.
And you know, I was scared shitless of him in the show. And I remember saying to my partner, "Where have we seen this guy before? I know I've seen him in something." You know, and yeah, he's been in various things. He was in Star Trek Into Darkness. He's like a science officer done up as an alien on the bridge, and so you will have seen him in something, even if you're not sure what. He plays kind of a villain type in Dumbo, although I have to say I haven't watched any of the live action remakes of classic Disney animations because I want to remember them the way they were. His character comes back, doesn't he, in season 2? Am I right?
I don't believe so.
Spoiler alert.
Well, yeah, because he does 5 episodes, and he definitely wasn't in 5 episodes of season 1.
Well, I think that's more speaking to he was like in these little flashes, like
maybe, yeah. So we don't see him again.
Yeah, I don't believe so. No.
Okay, so he's my favorite guest. Actor, character. Okay, so Blue Collar Loser, you got one?
We're talking
someone in a smaller role.
Episode 3 is called Meet the New Boss. We have this character called Sanchez, and it could be argued that some of the fight choreography is fantastic, but Sanchez was this I guess a very big name, made up UFC type fighter, and he winds up doing some very naughty things to a young woman. So Hood takes out his usual Hood justice on him because he doesn't play no bullshit. And me and Lord Toxic just love this whole fight scene, showing that how vulnerable Hood is, because Hood is not a Mary Sue, and Hood, by all accounts, would not win this fight. Normally, he had to take it to a street fight. And so
this is when he fights the guy who's raped the woman, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So I wasn't on your channel, so I'm like, being naughty.
Oh, am I not allowed to say that word?
I don't know.
You're not allowed to say. Yeah, you're not allowed to say that on YouTube. Yeah. You have to say grape.
So I did say grape earlier. So he's involved in the assault on the female.
Yeah.
Yes, you can say that.
Okay. That's a horrifying scene. What we see of it.
Yes.
It's done well, but I think we'll there's a discussion we're going to have in a little bit, so I don't want to get into this now. But that character. What's the name of the actor that plays that role?
I'll look it up. I know the character's called Sanchez. That's the name. I'm looking for now.
Sorry, I'm just muting myself while I cough incessantly.
Try to find it. References.
But is the actor a real UFC guy?
No.
His name is Cedric Stewart. Okay. So yeah, that's all I can find on him.
Cedric Stewart.
Yeah. But I remember that episode so much because it just establishes the kind of man and sheriff the Hood is going to be. He's not the guy that plays by the rules. He's not the typical cliche sheriff. He's there to take this guy out. He's not there to arrest him.
No, I mean it's a good indicator of his moral compass.
Yeah. And even because it's like what it leads into the albino because of what happens when Hood fights the albino. That right there leads into Hood winning the fight against Sanchez because of what he learned by getting his ass kicked by the albino guy.
Exactly. I saw a brilliant essay on it or listened to just the other night about how the show is all about trauma and the trauma either works against them or for them.
Yeah.
So
that's a really interesting analysis. Yeah, I have to say that's pretty good. And I hadn't never thought about it in that context. Yeah, I mean that actor's probably only in the one episode. It's maybe two episodes. I think he's in season 1.
Just to my knowledge, just the one.
Just the one, just the one. He's a one-off villain.
Yeah.
I remember you talking. I remember you talking about the way Lucas fights as well, because he's not even like a great fighter. He's more of a dirty fighter, and that's how he gets the advantage on someone who is trained to fight, more well trained to fight, but he still goes by rules, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Kind of like he goes by rules in the way that he approaches situations, but he definitely doesn't play by any rules in which the way he fights. He fights the way that most soldiers are trained to fight, which is always cheat, always win.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you
that's it.
Military talks?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, no, that's what I want to do a stream about
Lone
Survivor at some point. So I've got to have you on for Lone Survivor when I do that.
Oh boy. Okay.
Well, that's a film that's I've met a lot of American military people, and people are very divided on that movie about whether it's a realistic depiction of A, what happened, and B, tactics.
The tact. I can't speak on whether or not it's what actually happened because I wasn't. I don't think anybody can because none of us were there. But
no, of course.
But tactics, yeah, it's pretty realistic.
Yeah, I thought the battle scenes in it were really spot on. I mean, I felt like I was there, you know.
Yeah, I was a paratrooper with the 82nd.
Oh well, Nijmegen River crossing topic for another time.
Yeah.
So I've got a photograph of that, which I'll show you in a sec. Cedric Stewart, yeah, he's in. Here he is. So this is Blue Collar Losers room pin-up. Choice,
I mean, a bad choice.
That is it right in that fight? There's a fight in season 1 where someone gets their teeth knocked out, and you see that they've got a tooth missing. Is it him or is it Hood? I'm sure it happens in this fight.
No, that was Kai. Kai pulled the teeth out. Right? Yeah.
I know. Kai did that thing where he beat up that guy and he said, "Put the teeth back in your mouth."
Put your teeth back.
Maybe that's the scene I'm thinking of. Maybe that was extremely well done.
Yeah. If Sanchez had just gotten his teeth knocked out, he'd have been much better for it. They really. Oh yeah. Thank you for support. But that's awesome.
Shit, cheers.
Cheers. Yeah. No, it's Hood basically ends that guy's career. You know, with what he does to him. He goes pretty overboard.
Yeah.
So Cedric hasn't done a whole bunch of stuff. Only 10 other credits, 6 episodes in a show called For Better or Worse. I have seen Veep. That's a good show. It's good fun. It's very funny.
Yeah.
Not seen anything else he's done. He was very convincing in that role, though, and he had that sort of arrogance.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the people in that sort of profession and that world had.
Yes.
Yeah, I liked his character, and it was, you know, that fight scene and the outcome, and Proctor watching, is it the Proctor and the Indians kind of watching their money fall through their fingers?
Yeah,
the fight's not going to happen. And that's really Hood putting his cards on the table. It's a bit of a milestone moment in the show. Great, but Starr, have you got a sort of day player character that one or two episodes that you particularly liked or remember?
Yeah, it's obviously the albino. I know you've said it already, but he's just so fucking memorable. But it's
got to be the cock shot on the floor, right?
Oh yeah, I've just remembered that now. Fucking hell, yeah, that was pretty brutal. That.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna talk about that scene in a minute, so we won't go down on it too deeply now.
I don't know what was worse, the cock shot or his neck hanging off that fucking weight when he killed him.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, God. And he doesn't have to kill him, but he knows he's going to have to, because if he doesn't kill him, he knows the guy will come back and kill him another time.
Oh, yeah.
And he'll just have to fight him again. Yeah.
You got to be a monster in jail. You got to be a monster in jail.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Prison.
Yeah.
Well,
prison, Prison, yeah.
I look forward to our prison discussion stream another time.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. Loads of that'd be pretty dark. Obviously, we'll have to have a intimacy coordinator on hand. So yeah, okay. What about you, Tox? Do you have one that maybe no one's mentioned? Just a guess.
Yeah, and we're still confining ourselves to season 1.
Yeah, absolutely, season 1, because otherwise we'll be here all night.
I like Wicks. I like the character. I like the guy that plays him, and I like the episode for what it represents. You mentioned just a moment ago, use the words meet the new boss episode, and what he does in that episode is kind of a turning point. I think more that episode with Wicks is a turning point, because not only does it show a different perspective, but it gives you you see Lucas having to effectively cut his ties with his past life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I remember that character now. Yeah.
So this is the guy who kind of helped him out in prison, turns up, is a thorn in his side. He gives him some money, gives him a chance at a fresh start. He goes straight to the casino, gambles all the money, has some dodgy broad on his arm until he's got no money, of course. Yeah. And then you've got, spoiler alert again for anyone who hasn't seen the show, so mute us now. There's that great panning shot at the end where they go down into the lake, and you can see that they've offed him, and he's basically tied to weights, and it's a really creepy shot with his face as well.
It is. I like that episode, not just for what that guy represents and what he does in the episode, how he pushes Hood's character, but I also like the fact that it's what's his name, Sugar, that kind of comes up with the solution, and he comes up with the solution really fast.
Yeah,
he tricks onto the idea, and he really is the Alfred to Hood's Batman, where he just tells him, hey, there's only one way this is gonna go with this guy.
Yeah. And the show's quite clever in putting you in the shoes of Hood at that point, and asking you, what would you do in this situation? And there's only one, because he gives him more than one chance.
Yeah, he does. And I don't know that he should have given him any chances. Now, you could look at it from the perspective of, well, he helped Lucas out, but did he really, though? Did he really help Lucas? Because there's that scene where this is also the episode where he takes on the albino, and the albino is center stage. But there's that scene when he trains and he gets out of the hole after taking the shiv to the albino's little fuck toy. So he takes that time to train, get himself ready, and then he's got a weapon, and then the albino's guys know to pat him down and check to make sure. I think Wicks was playing both sides. I think it was win-win for him either way. Stay on Lucas's good side if he wins, but not too much where he's backing the wrong horse. I think he tipped the albino off that Lucas had a shiv on him. That's what I think.
Do we know the name of the actor that played him? Because I'm scrolling through the very long credit list here, and I'm struggling to find him.
I do not. I've not seen him in anything else, but he's undeniably a character actor that's probably been in something else.
Yeah, and I think he's probably done a fair bit of stage.
Michael Kostroff, is that his name?
I don't know.
Michael, can you put the link in the in the private chat, mate?
Let's have a look.
I'll whack.
But I'll tell you what he represents as well. Besides to the protagonist, any of us who've done time is. This is the kind of guy that you see how they're so clever with the show, aren't they? With showing how when he gets out and he's out on the street, he's a bum. but inside he was rather clean cut, and he actually had a purpose. Those are the kind of guys that will only succeed inside. They can't handle it out on the streets. So
that's really interesting.
He even has a bit of self-awareness at one point where he says, you know, I went down to go live with my sister and work at her husband's boat shop or something like that, and he couldn't make that work because guys like him can't make it work. We used to have an acronym for them in the Florida State Penitentiary. We'd call them a LOIP, LOIP, life on the installment plan, because they're gonna keep screwing up and keep going back and keep going back and keep going back. So.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's really interesting. Did everybody pick one? I think everybody picked one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, guys, we're going to go on to the next question. And he played Avon Barksdale's crooked lawyer. I knew I'd seen him in something else. Thank you, Leroy. He was in The Wire. I knew I'd seen him. I knew I'd seen him in something else. Slightly shorter hair, I believe, in that episode. What was the name of the actor again? You had it, bastard, didn't you?
I can't find it.
I'm trying to get his name up now on the Internet Movie Database so I can send the link.
Well, I'll tell you what, when you find it, just whack it in the private chat and I'll pop him up later, because I like to give these actors shout outs, because my channel, in fact, is all about pushing talent, and I always like to give the I don't want to call them the little people, because that's a different definition for somebody else, but the people that do the small role.
I think I found it. It's called Leonard Vanderwyck.
Leonard Vanderwyck. Damn, that sounds like a name who should run like someone who should run a duchy or a castle or Leonard Vanderwyck.
Yeah, you're right. His name is that's the character's name. Wicks is his nickname, but Leonard Vanderwyck's his
that's his character name. What's the name of the actor?
Michael Kostroff.
How do you spell the surname?
Kostroff.
Wait, got it up.
You got it.
Luke, you're too far away from your mic, bro.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I've got it. Just post a link up to Internet Movie Database.
I've got it. Yeah, I've got it. Oh, there he is. Oh, my God, it's him. Yeah. You take his hair off and, completely different. I knew I'd seen him in other things. I mean, he's a quality actor, this guy. And as you said, he just had the one scene, the one episode. But boy, did he make an impression. Am I right in thinking, spoiler alert again for later shows, I've got a vague recollection that the body pops up to the surface and is discovered at some point, or am I thinking of a different show?
You're thinking of the right show, but the wrong bodies. The bodies of the two Proctor goons are the ones that pop up.
And the sheriff, that's at the end of season 1. Yeah.
Am I the only one? No, sorry.
Go on.
Am I the only? I don't know, but for some reason it reminds me of that guy in Layer Cake. Remember the scene with the cafe where this tramp comes in and he's like, well, chuck me a couple of quid and then gets the shit kicked out of him. He reminds me of him a little bit as well, and he's kind of similar as a character.
Because that's how guys like that. That's how guys like that are, and probably I'd imagine that he
there he is.
I'd imagine that when they wrote the character of Wicks, they'd probably seen Layer Cake and probably modeled it after that guy. But yeah, it's that's how those guys are. I mean, I'm sure Chris will tell you, you run into guys that you did time with, and they're either quality, solid dudes, or like Chris and I, or they're scumbags that are just they're just marking time until it's time for them to go back inside.
Yeah, I've known plenty who don't do fuck all. They make their life even worse, and then they end up back in jail again, and then the whole cycle continues.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember him playing a great role in Billions as well. Played the role of Mick Nassafar. I mean, this guy's got 100 IMDb acting credits, and if someone has 100 credits on IMDb and they're a character actor, you can bet they've got at least 25 stage credits, if not more.
Yeah.
He's also been on things like Law and Order and Prodigal Son. Yeah, quite a few. Wizard of Lies. That was a great. That's a great movie. That's the one about the Bernie Madoff scam.
Mm-hmm.
There were 2 films made about it. One with De Niro playing the lead, and one with Richard Dreyfuss playing the lead, and they're both really good.
So the Wizard of Oz again, sorry.
Yeah, don't just watch the De Niro version of that story. Watch the one with Richard Dreyfuss in as well. It's really good, and he plays Dreyfuss's brother in the show.
I've kind of gained more respect for Richard Dreyfuss, even though I already liked him, especially recently.
Yeah, I mean, well, I've followed his career since I saw him in Jaws and Close Encounters, and he went through some difficult times in his life. Because if you look at his career, there's big periods when he doesn't work, and there's always reasons for that when that happens. And I could mention a few others, but let's not go there. So, okay, that's our favorite guest actor. We got a couple more questions. We're going to do one of the juicy ones now. I better have my finger hovering on the takeout on the Lord of Toxicity. Okay, so
get those next ready.
Yeah. Now this is okay. So I'm going to save that one for last. Actually, okay. I'll go first to get on in. Banshee season 1. This is a show. I mean, in all the seasons, it's got that WTF moment. Like, there's usually one of them in like almost every episode where you literally sit up in your seat and you have to pause it and rewind. Did I just see that happen?
Yeah.
And there's quite a few. For me, for season 1, it's got to be the the disemboweling of the genitalia of the albino and the very, very brief shot of something on the floor. And I remember when that happened, we did literally hit pause and whoa. Did we just see that? What hang on. What did he do there? Can we rewind? And we did rewind it.
That you regretted that as well, because that's like
yeah, I mean, that for me was definitely the standout. Oh my god, this show just went up a notch, and it's already quite a few notches up there. So Blue Collar Loser, do you have one?
Yeah, definitely. Hate to go back to the fight on episode 3, but Lord Toxic knows this when he's fighting Sanchez, the way right there, his hands. Remember, he takes his hands when he rips his fingers like that. I rewound that about 3 times. That is good job in the makeup department because he's already tearing him apart from breaking his wrist. But when Hood grabs Sanchez and takes his hands and splits his fingers like 2 different ways, you can see the makeup and you're like, oh my god.
Yeah, and that's a deliberate move to end his actual career.
That's what Toxic said, because I'm almost like, can't the guy recover from that? I'm like, well, certain injuries you're going to recover from, not that injury.
No,
that wasn't even the last thing he did to him, though. He went farther than that.
But everything he did in that fight scene, that just got me. Just the way he just snapped it. And you see him like, oh.
Yeah, and I mean, props to the sound design as well, because you've always got to have that extra layer. And boy, does it sounds pretty great.
Yeah, say that, Leroy, you're right.
when that happens, that's like, whoa, man. We didn't give this actor a shout out earlier, so I'm just going to do that now quickly because I think he does well with a very underwritten part, and that's Demetrius Gross as Deputy Emmett. He's kind of a sidekick character, but I think he does a great job in the show, and I think we see more of him. He does more things in subsequent seasons, if I remember rightly. Yeah, it gets a little bit more of a backstory, and we find out a bit more about him. There's not room for everybody to have that in season 1. Tox, you got a jaw-dropping moment?
Yeah. When we, I mean, it's basically the whole episode. And there's multiple points, but the reconciliation / I'm sorry moment that Anna gives Hood after she tries to get him kidnapped by her father, and they come in.
Oh my god, yeah.
And they're just having. I mean, it shows why it's a Cinemax show. I mean, they're having aggressive fornic relations, whatever you want to call it. I'm trying to
let's go with fornic relations.
I mean, he is giving it to her level 10. I mean, there's no way. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, because there's already been at that point a bunch of sex on the show, but I mean, they are just going at it like a couple of wildcats, you know.
Well,
and it goes on for a while.
We're coming on to that topic, so I won't let you go too much.
All right.
But that for you, yeah. I mean, that's yeah, that's a okay. It does put the show on a different level. There's also the time where he makes out with the sister of the guy he's just killed, like pretty soon after the wake. The nature of their fornication relations. I do love that. That's gonna be a title for a future show. Fornication relations in cinema.
Boy, if that mattress in that barn could talk.
Yeah,
boy,
I mean,
stories you could tell.
The aggressive nature of the physicality, and I'm not going to jump topics because we're coming on to it, but I will bring that up again shortly. But that's a pretty. I
think when Chris and I did the episode, you know, he was still then at that point. Chris, weren't you still using clips for that? And you know, like we're telling the audience, all right, well, we still can't. Like it's still going on. It's still like relentless, and we can't go anymore. It's like we're just sitting there, okay, it's still happening now.
Yeah. We're trying to describe the scene as best we can.
Yeah.
Well,
just have the Rock smash a couple of figures together, like in Family Guy. That's it.
we maybe in a future stream we can do a kind of you know, get the dolls together like they did in that Team America. Do it. Physically represent it that way. That's a classic scene. So okay, question. I think Bastard, you said the same scene as me, so we'll move on.
Yeah, I've already said that bit. Yeah.
Here's one for everyone. When and how did you first hear about the show? Now, I can't remember if it was myself or my partner that discovered it. One of us discovered it. It wasn't through social media for me or anything like that. But so I think it was somebody recommended it to her, and you know, we just said we were looking for shows to watch that we hadn't seen, and we just finished. I think we just finished The Sopranos, so it was like, okay, what else can we binge that we've not watched? And somehow this came on our radar. And as I mentioned earlier in the stream, before Tox came on, we saw all 4 seasons in about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We were doing about, as soon as I was done with work, it was like dinner and then Banshee time. And we'd say, okay, we'll do 2 episodes. And we'd always end up doing like 3 or 4 and staying up to ridiculous o'clock. So Northern Bastard, how did you first come to hear about the show? When did you watch it?
On the Critical Drunk posting, I made mentions, but what really got me interested was, I think it was you, Toxic, posting the clip of the UFC fight, and I'm like, I gotta check this out. This looks fucking cool.
Right. So when did you watch it? What year?
Finally got around to watching it last September, right after watching Mr. In Between for the first time as well.
Oh yeah, well, guys, we are going to do the Mr. In Between stream. That will be.
I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be next Sunday. I'm sorry I had to postpone, but I had a memorial to go to that day, and I just thought 2 events where I got to talk a lot on the same day is probably not a good idea. Whilst fighting a chest infection. So yeah, okay. I mean, it's interesting, isn't it, that a lot of people came to the show late. I didn't see it when it was first released.
No.
You know, in the same context that I didn't see Spartacus when that was first released and watched it.
I don't think it was marketed that well either, because I had fuck all about it back in 2013.
I think there was a lot of pushback and criticism against it for reasons we'll be coming on to shortly. Blue Collar Loser, how about you?
Same thing. 2 years ago when I first joined the Critical Drinker group and Lord Toxic, and it's a constant running joke we'll get into later that Lord Toxic would eventually recommend to me different TV shows, and so far the guy's 10 out of 10. We have the exact same taste in TV shows, but he got me into it, and like you said, Lance, from episode 1, I'm like, I'm hooked. This show has everything I want in it. It feels like a show back for it that was made from our era of 80s, you know, 80s action films, but it's a TV show. Fucking love it, man.
I wrote a TV show called co-wrote it with an actor called Craig Fairbrass. I'll show you who he is in a second in case the name doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah, you'll recognise him from Call of Duty. He played, I think it was Ghost, Modern Warfare 2.
He's been in loads.
There's a few There's a few characters in it.
But me and him, we're both big fans of the Shield, and we've been in each other's orbits but not met. And I went to see a play that a friend of mine was in, and he was seeing a play that a friend of his was in at the same theatre. They had two venues, and of course he's just done one piece as well. But he's this guy. And we got talking at the bar, and I said, I'm a massive fan of The Shield. I want to write a British version of The Shield, but not because we've had Line of Duty, which has had corrupt police and that kind of thing. But I said, but not like Line of Duty. I want to take it way further than that. That's a great show, but it feels very confined. And this is Craig. So we wrote this thing called Second Skin in lockdown, and it went all the way to the top of a couple of major platforms. And in the week that we were waiting for the yes or no, and it was written for him to play the lead as the corrupt police officer who's been suspended for 2 years on suspicion of killing a suspect by chucking him out of a tower block. And this suspect murdered his daughter. He's basically been brought back in because the commissioner of the London police has been murdered. This woman's been murdered. And the person that was murdered with her was his captain, because he served in Afghanistan. So before he was a policeman, he was in the military. So he's been brought back into the case because they think it's something to do with the military and Afghanistan as to why this guy was murdered, and the police commissioner just happened to be there. That also turns out not to be the case. And everybody said this show was going to be a yes. And then on the week that we were waiting for the green light, a policeman murdered this woman in London, picked her up off the street. We don't know the exact circumstances as to what happened. It was a massively high-profile case. It caused a huge outcry. There were women protesting all over the country. And there'd been a number of bad things that had happened with the police around this time, some deaths in custody and whatnot. And so we it looked like it was going to be a yes, and then suddenly that was it. Our show, no one wanted to touch it. So bit of a sidetrack note there, but I thought I'd mention it. But yeah, so you never know though. It might get resurrected, and if it does, it is basically a British version of The Shield. It's a very similar kind of show, so you guys would like it, because I think we got a few Shield fans in here.
Hell yeah, hell yes.
Yeah. So okay, so this is the next topic then.
Oh, we're not going to talk about how I got turned on to the show then.
Oh shit! Sorry, man.
That's all right.
I know how that was. You saw the pullout of the albino in Maxim magazine. And the show and,
yes. Yeah. Yep. That's it. All right. Moving on.
Okay. Which buddy in prison turned? No, go on.
When I got out of nah, you're good, bud. When I got out of the joint the first time, I went and I got a job as a bouncer at a bar in Kansas City, and I guess this was 2015, and there was a fight. I wound up breaking up a fight and then kind of went back to my post. And the DJ asked, he was like, "Who's that big guy that just broke the fight up there?" It's like, what's the story? And I guess one of the waitresses was like, "Oh, he's this ex-military guy. He just got out of prison." He's like, "Man, I just got done watching a show like that." And then he came up and he chatted me up to talk about it. And he said, "Hey, man, I'm not trying to, get in your business or whatever, because this is this TV show that we're kind of passing around." Because back then they had streaming services, but, they weren't as, popular as they are now. Yeah. And he's like, "I've got the first 2 seasons of the show. I'd really like for you to just tell me, is this realistic? What, do you like it? Let me give you a couple of the DVDs and you watch it and let me know what you think." Yeah. And that's basically how I got onto it. And then by the time I'd finished the DVDs, they were coming out with season 4. And so I just watched that in real time. I got Cinemax for about a year, and just finished it and watched the final season. And then, of course, I've been a fan of it ever since. I tout it. I keep trying to get the drinker to watch it, and sending him super chats and the Patreons and all that stuff. And Blue's been working with me for about a little over 2 years now with the old group and the new group, and I got him onto it, and then I guess Luke got onto it the same way, and I try to give it as much attention. I don't think it gets enough attention. I'm glad we're doing this. So
it's on Drinker's list. Trust me on that.
All right.
I've mentioned it to him loads of times, and
yeah,
he actually pulled out a sheet at one point with the list of stuff he's yet to watch.
Yeah,
and
poor guy, he's got a lot of shit.
Yeah, I mean, man, it's a lot. It's a long list,
Yeah.
It's a long list. But I'm sure he'll get around to it. I mean, it's a commitment. It's 4 seasons. It's 4 great seasons. So I think it's cool. Okay, well that's that. Everyone's done that question. My apologies, and don't be afraid to pick me up on that if I ever forget something. Quite right to do so. So here's the interesting topic for discussion. Let's talk about the sex and violence. Does it go too far? Is it just right? Is it needed? Etc. 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 I've got my own opinion on this, but I want to hear from other people first. Let's combine. Let's put an image that combines both of those topics in one. Here we go. Lucas Hood tied to the bed. Anything could happen on either of those. While that's going on. So, Blue Collar Loser, your thoughts?
I mean, it's like anything. Do certain stories need sex and violence to tell a story? I would argue that Expendables 4 didn't turn out great, but the third film, the PG-13 rating hurt that franchise. You're not watching Expendables or John Wick. If they were PG-13, John Wick would not work at PG-13. I'm sorry. I don't think
I agree.
It would. So certain stories need to be hard R. Now, in terms of the sex scene, some sex scenes you could say are gratuitous, but like where Toxic said, eventually in season 1, when Lucas Hood eventually does have sex with Anna, there actually is history there, because at this point he's had sex with several women during the show, but for her and him it's personal. It's been 15 years, and she's the whole buildup of what he's been waiting for the past decade and a half of his life. So yes, it is definitely aggressive, but for him it's very, very emotional, and for her it's also emotional as well, because he is tying her to her past life, and also part of her character arc is like he's her past, but she still has trouble changing into being Anna, because she's always going between Anna and Carrie. It's that dual personality in a sense. And I think sex and violence, it depends on the storyline. In this show, no, the violence factor, especially with Sanchez, especially with the albino, it needs to be told, because this is the kind of show that we're seeing.
Yeah, okay. All good points. Bastard, have you returned from your wife duties?
Yes, I have. Yes.
Very good.
Thankfully, she didn't keep me too busy, but
it was good that you were done in 5 minutes. Excellent.
Yeah.
So, your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I think it goes. It doesn't really go too far anyway with the sex. Some may argue it does, but it never seems to get in the way of the story too much. We still keep invested with the characters and the troubles and the events that they go through. And it's can't really. There's not much to add to that one, to be honest. But the violence, there is a few times where it makes me wince, but it's kind of done very well. Also, but that's the type of show. It's meant to be violent.
There's not an overabundance of penile decapitation scenes in TV drama. So it definitely did raise a few bars there. Tox, and I've got my sand timer on. Your thoughts in less than 3 minutes.
You know what? Believe it or not, I'm gonna go against conventional wisdom. I think they go a little too heavy on the sex. I think that it's and don't get me wrong. I mean, did we really need? I think it was one episode, wasn't it, Chris, where Anna is basically naked throughout the entire thing. She's working on herself, thinking about Hood, and then later, basically, grapes her husband and uses him as a sex toy in order to get there, so she can, fantasize about Hood a little longer. I mean, did we really need a 10-minute scene of him going downtown on her. I mean, I think it's excessive.
Oh,
It
no,
had to.
God.
I think the show had to live up to the standard of being on what was at the time Cinemax, and so lovingly referred to as Skinemax. And I think that's why a lot of it was there. They really level off in season 3 and 4. I spoiler alert for that, by the way.
Okay. I think that's fair. I think people could reasonably argue the sex is a bit over the top. I mean, she's not here to give her opinion, and which is a shame. But my partner at the time, one of the things she loved about the show was that the sex felt very real.
No, it does. Yeah,
it felt like, these were people, that it contained things like believable lust, and also just kind of how sex with one person with Hood was a certain way, with another person it was a different way, and that said a lot about how he felt about that character, or the nature of that relationship. So there were a lot of things that, because they showed a lot of nudity, there was also a lot of extra character stuff that was in there as a result of showing that. Is that needed on all shows? Absolutely not. I forget about the fact that there's a certain prescription to a label going on here. Cinemax, we expect this, we expect that. And it's a subsidiary of HBO, I think, isn't it? It's like
it always has been. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the more graphic, but a bit like Touchstone for Disney, not. But so it's the more adult version of HBO.
Lance, let me ask you a quick question, if I may.
You can.
Doing a rewatch, because now, like I said, me and Blue Collar are rewatching it.
Yeah.
So do you look at it differently, especially as it pertains to this topic? Do you look, because I've only come to this conclusion now. When I originally watched it, I was like, oh hell yeah, this is great, more sex, more violence, I love it. But now upon rewatch, I'm kind of like, yeah, man, this is excessive. This is a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it feels like that. And I said this at the time, and I researched it and found out that it wasn't the case. But I was certain when we got to the end of season 1 that this show must have been based on a graphic novel, like The Boys or Walking Dead or whatever, because there was something cartoonish about, and I don't mean to suggest it was not graphic. It is graphic, but there was something cartoonish about the way the violence was shot. Like that shot of the hole through the hand when the guy puts his hand up to the lens.
Yeah,
that's very, very Evil Dead director Sam Raimi. That's very Sam Raimi violence. That same shot is in The Quick and the Dead.
Yes,
and then the sex maybe not so cartoonish, but it still fitted within the tone of the rest of the show. And of course, graphic novels can be very adult in nature. So I was certain that it was a graphic novel. I was really surprised to find out that wasn't the case. And actually, The Boys adaptation, and that's a stream for another time, but is toned down a lot from the graphic novel. I mean, the Hero-gasm is nothing like the way it is in.
I heard that.
It's way better in the graphic novel. It is like the Oscars, and it's on an island that they hire out, especially for the awards ceremony, and all the ladies of the night are brought in on cruise ships to service the people there, and that they're all chopping up Compound V and snorting it like lines of white powder. So it's a whole different setup, and I was really looking forward to seeing that all on the show. And it was like, oh, it's a swingers party in a house. Okay, that's a bit naff. So but yeah, I on rewatching the show, to further elaborate on your question, I found that this show gets better with repeated viewings because you pick up on so many more things. So for me, it's a show that's actually only got stronger. There's nothing in it that I go, oh, that probably shouldn't be in it. But I don't think you get away with making Banshee now.
No.
It came out when it could. Came out when it should have done.
Yeah, and I think it's a shame because the team behind this are clearly, they're a brave creative team that made a lot of very interesting choices with characters. Were they ticking some boxes for nudity and violence? Absolutely, I think. But you know, yeah. I mean, Leroy said in the chat, it's only seen the entire show once, but I'll say that it wasn't like Game of Thrones, like sex and violence. But I thought on this show it did go a little too far. I don't know if you mean by that Game of Thrones was more up the scale or less. Good question.
Yeah.
Talking about this point, Leroy, what have happened to show where the good guys always win, shows where cops were honourable and the criminals get their just desserts. Well, the thing that makes The Shield great is, in my opinion, and this is what we try to do with Second Skin, and this is what they do with Hood as well, is Hood is the guy that you want on your side in a fight.
Yes.
He's the guy that you want to be sheriff in your town, because you know if you go to him with a problem, it's going to get solved. Whereas, you know, you're kind of clean-cut, you know, law-abiding guy in this world. That the sheriff that turned up might have done a good job, but I don't think he would have survived that long.
Yeah.
Our Sheriff Hood is a good guy to have in a fight, but as I pointed out to Chris in our rewatch the other day, he's not somebody you want to have in your life proper, because he's sort of an albatross. He brings down a lot of misery on his loved ones and his friends and his family.
Yeah, he's he's a bit of a liability.
Yeah, and he starts to realize that in series 3, didn't he? In one episode. Spoilers.
Yeah.
So, panel, on a rating of, and you can tell me your overall view as well, but just purely on season 1 out of 10 on IMDb, what would you have given this? I'd like to hear people in the chat put their numbers in the chat as well. Blue Collar first.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, after episode 1, and there's no filler episodes, there's no fat on the script. I mean, for me, it's a 10 because it is a cliche. But yeah, as a guy, the show it's got guns, violence, boobs. It has a great choreography, complicated characters, and yeah. So I mean, I can't. And as somebody who's been in prison, like Lord Toxic, I see things going on, and Anthony Starr's acting. Nobody phones in. It's one of, people would say, the most underrated shows ever. It's so good.
Yeah, I have to agree. I'll share my thoughts in a sec, but yeah, Bastard.
I'll give it 4 out of 5 since I'm still kind of new to it. If I rewatch it and it still makes that same impact over and over again, I'll raise it to a 5. That's how I'm starting to.
So you're 4 out of 5. So out of 10, what would that be, like 7.5, 8 kind of thing?
I don't know. I try not to go that far because it means complicating it a little bit.
Tomby's giving it 7.2 just to illustrate the complication. But he says Tomby's got a great little channel. Me and him are going to do a collaboration on, I think we're going to do like top 5 Judge Dredd stories in 2000 AD.
Okay.
Nice.
So, yeah, I think we're going to do, if I've got any other fellow Judge Dredd fans here, I think we're going to do under issue, like, I don't know what issue 2000 AD is on now, but I think we're going to do stories like before Prog 1000. So be the first 1,000 issues or whatever. Because I think they've had over 1,000 issues now. There was a lot of sex in the program. At times, it was a distraction. I had to get out the room, grab my lube, get comfortable, sit down. Oh, sorry, that's not agreed on the sentiment. Yeah. So too much incest in Game of Thrones. It's in the book, though. I mean, it's a big thing in the book. So have to say, man. Listen, talk to me. Send me a message on Twitter, mate. Let's try and put a date in for that before Christmas if we can, or early January if not.
Lance, one thing I just wanted to ask you, or mention it again, because this is 2013 versus 2023. Look at a show that was very, very diverse, and no one ever talks about it. It's not the selling point of the show, and it's got a very diverse cast.
I mean, it's not just the diverse casting. You've also got clash of religion ideologies in the show.
Yeah.
I think presented very fairly from a number of different viewpoints. Okay, our leading protagonist is a white guy, but you've got a very, very mixed cast. You've got the Indians are very well represented. They're not played as cliches. you know, there's also the gangsters among them. I think it's yeah, and then you have the trans character who, like, everybody loves Job. Everybody loves that character.
Exactly.
And you know, and I think that's a great character that again no one's ever talked about. And also the female lead in this show, she's not the downtrodden girlfriend. You know, in episode 1, that I think, isn't there a scene with her training, and you think, she goes to train with that guy in a warehouse.
Yep.
And I think that guy's actually the fight choreographer for the show. It's like a little cameo of his. She says, okay, now they have a really, like, you think she's getting ambushed, like she's getting beaten up by some guy. And then it turns out, no, this is the guy I go to train with. And she's like, right, okay, now I want you to really test me. Yeah. Test me like Tox's prison mate sort of thing.
Yes.
There you go. And it all gets... we don't see it, but we know, like, the next day she's got a couple of bruises, so we know.
Yeah, she's eating a honey bun, and
she's she's a kick-ass character, and as we know, we've all got Jennifer Lawrence to thank for that. So
thank you again, Jennifer Lawrence, coming in clutch.
Yeah,
she was
really
the first
well
action
written.
star.
Really, all the even the daughter's a well-written character. You know, in this, she's a little bit narrow in season 1, kind of a little bit 2D in season 1, but she gets great arc as the show goes on. So Tox, what's your rating on this?
Oh, solid 9.5 for sure. Solid 9.5 IMDb rating. And it's as you could find out if you'd ever most people will tell you season 1 is my favorite season, and episode 3 in season 1 is my favorite episode of the entire series.
Right, that's interesting.
Yeah, so
we'll probably do favorite episodes when we do the season 4 stream, and then we can look back and talk about favorite episodes and, you know, maybe favorite character overall, and stuff like that. Oh, Melvin's in the chat. Good to see you, mate. Always a pleasure. Backing the camp of various people participating. Lily Simmons was the highlight for me. Yeah, indeed.
Come on.
Let's, before we wrap this up, because we're coming up to the 2-hour mark, and I've also got a Gladiator stream I'm taking part in, and my voice is already getting a little hoarse. Now, there are 514 user reviews on IMDb, and it's always interesting just to look at the headlines for some of these. And 514 reviews for a show on IMDb is a lot, because that's a lot of people that have made an effort to write a proper review. And there may be some fake ones, but I don't think so. Just looking at the headlines, my favorite guilty pleasure, underrated, hooked from the first episode. Well, this is embarrassing. I'm watching the series in sequence, just started the second season. And reviewing them individually because, frankly, they're some of the most amazing episodes I've ever seen on mainstream TV. I thought I'd already done a summary review, but I had not. Okay, that's why it was embarrassing. Not the show. Skinamax, indeed. Well, I think we know what that one means. That's Blue Collar Losers ID, clearly on IMDb. Worth a commitment. I agree. It definitely is worth the commitment. Absolutely outstanding TV series. Who Shot Sheriff and so on. Fucking great show. That must be Northern Bastards review there.
I'd do a bit more better. I'd get 10 more words in. I would.
Pulpy goodness. There is something Quentin Tarantino-esque a little bit about the show, I think.
Oh, it's a pulp fantasy show.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's why the graphic novel thing, you know.
It's not full on realistic. There are times, I mean, I thought it was going to be like really, really more realistic, but then I see Anna like taking down her dad's fucking guns like she's like some kind of ninja, and I was like, oh shit. So yeah, this is more action oriented.
Well, I think by the end of season 1, you kind of know where you're at with the show's reality.
Yeah. You're getting to know the show a bit.
It's like it's like a hyper reality. It's almost like a John Wick type universe.
Yeah, because it is gritty and grounded at the same time, but there's also
it feels more grounded than a John Wick movie. I have to say, I found the last Wick movie quite boring. It just was all got just a bit too much. I mean, it was entertaining, but I was a bit like, oh my god, are we going to have to fight all the way up the staircase again? Really?
Yeah. Who knew John Wick's weakness was stairs?
Yeah, I mean, and I love Keanu Reeves, and by all accounts, an absolutely lovely man to have on any film set. So, well, I mean, there's a couple of critical reviews, but most people are rating it 7 or above. From what I've seen, my rating for it, both for season 1 and for the show, on IMDb is 9 out of 10. It currently has an 8.4 rating. So people, if you haven't seen it and you like guns, violence, nudity thrown in with some Amish beards, this is your show. Tox has got one on his profile picture right now. That's his Amish look. So my guests, what have you guys got coming up next? Where are you streaming? Where can people find you? I was not entirely sure who was going to be here tonight, so not all the links are down below yet, but I will edit them in later because Bastard's going to send me all of them together very kindly, so I can just copy and paste a lot in one go. Thanks for doing that, mate. Right. Appreciate it. Blue Collar Loser, where can we find you? What are you talking about next?
Well, so me and Lord Toxic, and I was saying this, we just finished episode 10 of season 1. Going into season 2, I'm changing up my format because we kept, I was adding as we're talking 3-second clips, 4-second clips. For some reason, YouTube and HBO kept blocking my videos. I don't understand why, what's going on. So we changed up the format for season 2. I'm just showing stills now because for some reason, I don't know why HBO just keeps blocking my videos, and I eventually get them up there, but it's, it's a process. So I'm tired of appealing all this stuff. Like HBO, I'm wearing a Banshee t-shirt. I'm buying Lord Toxic a Banshee t-shirt. I don't plan on getting monetized. If you copyright my video, I'm fine with that. But just stop blocking my videos when I'm promoting your show. Like, what is the problem?
I don't know where they're going with that. There's a lot of that going on. I think YouTube's probably been, there's probably, I have no doubt there was a big meeting at some point between various powerhouse media companies and film production studios, and there was an agreement reached somewhere. Can we not show trailers, clips, and all the rest of it now because people are making money off of our content?
Well, and you see it too with so many people out there. These I know recently Mueller had that issue with Critical Drinker Talking, where this one girl came after Mueller for showing 3 seconds of her stuff. It's like, chick, you put up 35 minutes of Disney stuff you're copyrighting and stealing, but you milk the algorithm by putting some kind of disclaimer on there and you block it. And I'm not trying to do all that. I'm just showing 3-second clips, guys. And
So you're also in summary, you're also doing a review of Banshee, like episode by episode.
That's what we're doing, and I said, and just that we're changing up the format. But so episode 10 will be out soon. We're just doing watch-alongs, basically.
Oh, cool. Well, count me in for one of those. I'll definitely pop on
time,
that one.
And pretty soon.
I think we suggested that, didn't we? Getting you on there, Lance.
Yeah, I'll be up for that. Just let me know when. If I'm available, I'll listen, man. My channel's all about giving and sharing, and I'm happy to come on anyone's channel. That
everyone knows that we had mentioned Reacher season 2 is coming out soon.
Yes.
I did enjoy the first season. I did enjoy the first season. Was I, before I asked Tox to promote his stuff and range of sex products, was I right? Did the guy who played Reacher have a cameo in Banshee? It's probably not him, but the guy that Proctor hires to take out the Indians, and the accountant guy with the glasses manages to strangle him. It's that really big beefy guy that he's in debt to Casino for a lot of money. It's not the same actor, is it? But he's got a very similar face, very similar eyes, but similar build.
He is a pretty big guy. I don't know episode you mean.
So Lord of Toxicity, what you got coming up? Where can people find you? Oh, look, there's the real you.
Hey, there I am.
Actual photo may almost resemble person.
Handsome devil he is, isn't he? Yeah, no, Blue and I are like you said, rewatching Banshee. We're on season 2 now. We do that usually on the weekend. We do have Reacher season 2. We'll probably do that as well. I don't really do much on my own channel. I'm too busy working or writing books. Right now I've got one book up for publishing. It's called Slapdash. And you can usually catch me on Stupenzo's weekly roundup, what is it? Tales from the Dork Side.
Dork Side.
The Dork Side on Monday nights.
Do you have any books out now, like on Amazon now?
No, it's I'm going through negotiations right now with Amazon to try to get Slapdash on there. I got 3 books ready for a preliminary deal because they say actually I took advice from the drinker himself about having 3 manuscripts ready to rock. So we got that, and we do a Tuesday night rewatch on Blue Collar's channel, The Losers Lounge, where we rewatch a classic movie, and tomorrow night is Roadhouse.
Oh,
so
great choice.
Fun with that.
Yeah,
that's a fun film, and damn, the female lead in that is I forget her name, but God, she's fine as hell in that film.
Kelly Lynch. Is that who you
Kelly
mean?
Lynch.
Kelly Lynch.
Yes.
Isn't that John Travolta's ex?
No, that's Kelly Preston.
Kelly Preston. Yeah.
She sadly passed away a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Cancer, man.
First film I saw her in was Metalstorm, The Destruction of Jared Sin, which is a Charles Band movie from the 80s that most people don't remember. But yeah, okay, cool. Very good. Mr. Bastard, anything to add? What you got coming up?
I don't know if me and you are still up for Tuesday's Nielsen report, is it? Is that what it's called?
We are. So we're doing the Nielsen report
okay.
tomorrow. But plug your own stuff first before you plug my channel again. But thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. Well, I'm doing Losers Lounge, obviously, with Blue. And next up, I might do. I think I'll get down to doing Batman Returns for the start of December.
Oh yeah, Penguin and Catwoman.
Yeah, it's a very decisive movie, but I kind of like it, even though there's a lot wrong with it.
Yeah, it's funny. For me, that they went wrong as soon as they brought in a second. I think every Batman movie, one villain is enough. Unless you're going to do a movie that's the story is about Arkham Asylum, a team breaking in, and like everyone gets out, like kind of like the Adam West, TV movie that they did where they brought all the villains in to one movie, which was kind of fun. If you're going to do it, do that, but don't keep having 2, and then sometimes they'd have a third one, and it just diluted the story because everybody needs a setup story and a little backstory scene, and sometimes it's quite nice if you have a villain and we don't know who they are and we don't know anything about them. Maybe you get stuff right at the end, but
it's like the Joker. We don't need a definitive backstory. That's what makes the mystery of him so intriguing.
This is why for me, superhero films, it's like, I just can't watch any of them anymore. They're just all the same, and everything feels so sterile and flat and a bit like the Waterloo scene in Napoleon. But going to talk about that more tomorrow. And I'm a huge Ridley Scott fan, and my channel is generally all about the love. But we're going to talk about first episode of the Nielsen ratings tomorrow. It took me ages to come up with that title, as you can imagine, but goes after my surname. We're going to talk about Napoleon. We're going to talk about a show called Boat Story, which if you haven't seen it, I recommend it. It's on BBC iPlayer, but I believe if you're overseas, you can also get it on a couple of other places. It's kind of it's a 6-parter about 2 people on a beach who come across a boatload full of cocaine. It's loosely based on mine and Blue Collar's personal experience. But that's how he paid for that T-shirt,
Oh, yeah.
So no, joking aside, it's a good show. Daisy Haggard and Joseph Patterson are the 2 leads.
Nice.
Craig Fairbrass, who I mentioned to you earlier, is also in it playing a hitman, quite an interesting character. It's very Tarantino-esque. It's very pulpy. It's very funny. It's got really dark humor. I really liked it, and for the BBC, it was very, very different. Somebody decided to take a lot of risks with that show. So I'm going to give that a shout out tomorrow. A couple of us have been watching Estonia, which is a very serious drama. Man, have you seen episode 7 yet?
No, I've not had a chance to watch it. Look, man, it's like the disaster is after the disaster. Fucking finger pointing, blaming, people trying to cover their own asses. It's the total disregard for the lives that were lost. It's crazy. It's not an easy watch.
It's a really, really good drama show. It's dropping weekly at the moment. There's one episode left. The true story of the biggest maritime disaster since the sinking of the Titanic. Around 800 people lost their lives. Actually, there were relatives of ours who had friends on the ship. Fortunately, I think they made it. But it's really good. We're going to talk about it a little bit tomorrow. I'm probably going to do a stream just on it because true story drama is very much kind of in the pond of the stuff that I personally write and so on. Right, well, that's it, guys. This is the number of people that I wanted. I wanted 4 of us on, so that's a nice mix because you get 6 or 7, and there was quite a few people that wanted to do this stream. It just gets a bit too busy.
Yeah, I agreed.
And I'm good. This is kind of my style. If we're going to talk about a show, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a load of questions ready. And we'll focus on those things so we don't keep jumping around. And I think that way you kind of get a better overview and it's a bit more tidy. It's the director in me. I'm sorry. It comes with the job. So, but look, you've been great guests. Thanks for coming on. It's been interesting.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
Oh, no, absolutely.
It was a pleasure to come on here.
I was glad I could come on and drag it down to my level a little bit.
Well, indeed.
If it's Lily Simmons, it's understandable. Come on. Every stream needs that Lily Simmons.
We'll do a different stream all about that. Those people in the chat that came along, thanks a lot for watching. Just give a shout out to my friend Mr. B. I know he wanted to be here tonight and he hasn't. Mr. Brown's not been able to come. But dude, just sending you lots of love and I hope to catch you maybe for season 2 because I know he's a huge fan of this show. That's it from me. Don't forget to tell the people that you care about that you love them, and I will see you all again real soon.
All right.
Cheers.
Guys,